program is proudly brought to you by Laglex Jewelry and Knack Cleaning.
Ladies and gents,
Life is a teacher. The more you live, the more you learn. You watching me out there would find yourself in a relationship or you are aspiring to be in one. And that is the reason why the topic of 21st century dating is very crucial. And today on the Gist with Chacha, I have Kelly Daniels. He's a family advocate and a relationship consultant. Before you get to hear from him, let us go for this quick turn and we'll be right back. Welcome back from Napoli 10, and I have here Kelly Daniels. Wow, you're looking amazing.
Thank you
I
very
mean,
much.
I was like, hey, what is like? It's really an honor to have you
Thank you very
looking
much.
all royalty and all
Oh,
that.
thank you.
It's really an honor to
No,
have you
I'm
on the
grateful.
show.
I'm
How are
grateful.
you doing?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm fine.
Fantastic.
Today's topic is so much on my heart, and I am very glad to have you speak about this topic. But before we look at the 21st century, which is our dispensation dating, I would like us to draw a picture of what we used to have in the olden days.
Well, dating has evolved. Um, Before now, it used to be a situation of matchmaking to an extent when dating wouldn't be necessary, where families would meet families on behalf of their children and say, "Oh, my son I would love my son to meet with your daughter, or want my daughter to meet your son." Parents would deal with all of that and it would be done, but that wasn't always the case anyway. At some point, dating used to come in the normal way that it is right now. It's just that there's more expectations now in dating than it was then. Back then, dating was simply friendship and helping each other with whatever each other was doing. But right now, it's more like an entitlement most of the time. That's where we get it wrong, because dating is not about entitlement. Dating is about getting to know the best you can from the person involved, so that you can see if the person is good for the future that you see of yourself, how the person matches where you're going. You see, so basically, it's not about entitlement. Way back, it wasn't about entitlement. Right now, it looks like it's about entitlement, which is wrong, and that's when people begin to feel heartbroken all the time. If you are not entitled to someone, you do not feel too bad when the person leaves. You understand what I'm saying? That's where we get it wrong, because we expect too much. Because the man says, "Oh, I like you, I want to see how it goes with you," but you think this is marriage, and so when the marriage is, and when the relationship is over, "Oh, he broke my heart." He didn't break your heart without your consent. You gave him your heart, and so he did what he did with your heart in the best way he could.
So in dating, what are the operations that we shouldn't do away with?
You can't do away with first dealing with yourself. A lot of people don't understand that there are three stages of counseling when it comes to love affairs. The first stage of counseling is self-counseling,
Okay.
personal counseling. That's what I mean. Personal counseling helps you to know yourself even before you get into a relationship. So personal counseling, the counselor teaches you, exposes you to yourself based on the interactions he's going to have with you. So personal counseling exposes you to who you are, how you are, why you do the things you do, and where you are going to based on what you're doing now.
Okay.
That's what personal counseling exposes you to. Based on that, you would know who is best for where you're going, which leads us to premarital counseling. So it's personal counseling, premarital counseling, marital counseling, post-marital counseling. A lot of people miss this and just go for premarital counseling. The one they rush for 3 months or 4 months or 6 months before they get married. And once they get married, boom, they think they're fine. They didn't even know who they were individually first. So first of all, you need to understand, who am I? Where am I coming from? Why am I the way I am? Why do I do the things I do? Why do I think this way? What has shaped my thinking to be this way? Do I like who I am? Can I reshape or rebrand, restructure, rewire, reorchestrate? Can I give birth to myself afresh? Because I don't think the person I am right now can go into a relationship that is going to be a place where I want to be. So let me rebrand. That's what personal counseling teaches you.
Okay.
Before you even think about dating. Now, what are the things you want to avoid in dating? You want to avoid someone who wastes your time. You want to avoid someone who doesn't appreciate or add to your values. You want to avoid someone who doesn't understand your spirituality. You want to avoid someone who doesn't understand your intellectuality. If he doesn't understand your spirituality, he will not appreciate your intellectuality. Because everything emanates from the spirit. Until you're a spirit-minded person or a spirit-conscious person, your intellectual pattern will be thwarted. It cannot be accurate. Everything has got to be spiritual. It has to be born from a meditative point of view to get into your intellect, to get into your regular natural reasoning, and then you invest your emotions into it. But many people go with their emotions, then they begin to think, and before they spiritualize it, everything must be first spiritualized. After spiritualizing it, you go into the dimension of realistic thinking. This thing that is in my spirit, how do I think it through with common sense? How do I apply it with my daily life? And then, with what capacity of emotion should I inject into it? So, dating, marriage, courtship, whatever it may be, must start as a spiritual affair, transcending down to a reasoning affair which has to do with common sense, and then you go into applying your emotions. So all those people who cry, he broke my heart, they are emotional people. They did not invest reasoning, and they did not invest spiritual insights. It starts from spiritual insights, and then from spiritual insight, you go deeper into your thinking, reasoning. How can this work? A lot of people say, oh, I received that this person is my fiancé, my fiance, my husband, and my wife. They may not be wrong. In fact, let's take it that they are right. The fact that you have found out that this is the person you want to marry, from meditation, you can see, it's clear that you guys are going to be good together, doesn't mean that it will work. Because you need to understand the intelligence of engaging your individual reasoning. So I have received a meditative inspiration that I'm meant to marry Chacha. But that is one. How do I translate it to her thinking? For her to see what I see. I need to know how to choose my words. I need to know what time to talk to Chacha. I need to know the kind of discussion I can start that would connect me to eventually getting to tell her what I saw. If I come to meet Chacha and say, I can see in the realm of spirit that you're meant to be my wife, you can just walk away because you didn't see nothing.
Yeah.
That's why it must first be seen by meditation, which is spiritual, going down to common sense, realities of, if you see that I'm going to die tomorrow and you come to me and say, hey, I might kill you first. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you sit me down, but you might be right. But you end up going before me. You get what I'm saying? So you might be right that you've seen it. We need to sit me down, get me into intellectual dialogue. Charlie, what are you doing in your life right now? What are you doing? How are you doing what you're doing? From the way I'm seeing things, tomorrow is very, very dangerous. Let's try and avoid what I'm seeing. I'll be like, oh, you're seeing something? Now you have gotten my interest. That's where reasoning comes in. So all these prayer warriors who are like, oh, that's my wife, it might be true. But if they don't put human reasoning into it, you are spiritual, but you live in a very, very human world. So you must put humanity into your spiritual context. and then invest the right emotion. The emotion of communicating feelings. Because it's not enough to say, I want to marry you. I have to say it in a certain attitude. You get what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about.
I see. So, with that being said, what for one, age or maturity, which is a vital tool for survival?
Maturity tells you how old you are.
Can you explain that?
Age is a numerical factor. Maturity is a growth factor, a development factor. Sorry, age is actually a growth factor, but maturity is a development factor. Age makes you biologically grow and chronologically increase. Chronology. Okay? But maturity helps you develop from thinking in a certain way to thinking in a certain way. You understand what I'm saying? So you might be growing old and still be developing dwarf. Your development might be low key. There are people who are full grown men, full grown women, but talk like 18-year-olds, 15-year-olds because they have not matured. So I would not say date at a certain age or marry at a certain age. I'll ask you, how much investment have you given to your maturity? What is making you a better man or woman every day? What are you doing to intentionally make sure that the way you thought last week is not the same way you're thinking this way? Because you've upgraded. That's what you should be thinking about. So I would choose maturity over age because age is nothing but a numerical situation where maturity is supposed to be the steady advancement of your thought pattern.
I see. When you were talking earlier on, you made mention of the fact that we used to attach so much emotion. We invest our emotion into dating, and that also explains why some ladies are like, oh, let me get pregnant for this man because I love him so much and I think getting a baby for him would actually make him eventually marry me. Do you think that is advisable?
I didn't say that it's wrong to express emotions or apply emotions to it, but emotion should be the last part of communication. There are three major communication skills. I call them the Trinity communication skills. My coinage, by the way. So, the woman who thinks she likes somebody so much and wants to get pregnant for him is battling with emotions and common sense. So, emotion, I like him. Common sense, let me get pregnant for him. You see, the emotion came first, and the common sense came second. But it should be a meditation first. Spiritually, is this thing good for me? Then common sense, applying it because it is good for me. Do I think that pregnancy should be the next thing I should be thinking about? That is reasoning. That's the point of common sense I'm talking about. But when you reason out that, oh, if I get pregnant for him, he's likely going to walk away. He's likely going to pay my bride price and still walk away and take the child. Now, if you are thinking about all these factors, very, very likely you will not take that. So emotions won't even come into the factor in the first place. But people misappropriate their priorities in terms of distinguishing between emotions, reasoning, and meditation, which is spiritual.
Would you advise a lady to go stay with a man she's dating?
There's no justified reason for that. Well, we who travel a lot understand that some people have accommodation issues and they want to merge money to live together, and still not an excuse. It's been proven, and you can check it out, that cohabiting actually reduces the capacity to sustain a marriage. Cohabiting before marriage has a high tendency of reducing the capacity for the sustenance of the marriage. Yes, so if you hear people say, oh, when we cohabit, we'll know each other better to know what will work for us in marriage, it's a scam. It's a scam. You would know the person in a way that you would be blind to the things you should check before marriage. Because you're cohabiting with a person and having constant sex with the person. So sex has a way of blurring your mind from the realities of what is right in front of you. So you forgo his mistakes, you forgo her mistakes. Oh, it's nothing, but I love him. And before you finish processing it, even when you are angry, no. This attitude is not right. I must fix it. You spread your legs again, because after all, you share the same bed. So by the time you guys have that continuously, week after week, month after month, you have forgotten the fact that you thought about something he did which you should have addressed. So emotions come to play, and before you say, oh, you know what, we've been having sex for how many months now? Let's just get married already. I mean, what's the difference? Anyway, but we get married, and then days, weeks, months after, your eyes begin to clear about the things you ignored during cohabiting, and then they are now manifesting 100 wax in your eyes. Exactly. Like, oh, I thought I knew him. You never knew.
We are going to build upon this, but we are going for a quick commercial break and we'll be right back. I'm really learning a lot, and I know you are learning a lot as well. Welcome back from that short commercial break, and I still have here with me Kelly Daniels. So before we're going for the break, we're talking about the cohabitation. You know, with the cohabitation, women are like, oh, the way to the man's heart is food. Therefore, let me prepare food, let me, like do everything for him. The man too will be performing the manly duties and all that. And at the end of the day, yes. So that, what's your opinion on that?
The way to a man's heart is good sex.
Not food.
Not food. He can get food anywhere else.
Oh.
The way to a man's heart is feeding his emotions. And sex plays a very, very, very major role in achieving that. If a man wants to really, really eat if he's hungry, he can eat before he gets home. There are women who complain that their husbands don't eat their food because they come late. Because they've eaten whatever they want to eat anywhere else and everywhere else they've been to. So what majorly brings a man back home is soothing his emotions, soothing his ego, and garnishing it with good sex. That is where the man is always finding a reason to come back home, because he knows he's going to somebody who really, really understands how his brain works. Because sex has a way of rejuvenating a person who is married to always bond with the person he's married to. And then food comes very, very, very secondary. In fact, if you put food here, best dish ever, and you put sex here, best sex ever, and you tell a man, single or married, to choose one, he'll go exactly for sex and eat food later. So sex is a higher priority than food in any man's life. Any man's life. Any man, including your dad. Any man's life. Any man will choose good sex over good food. No matter how tired a man is, if he sees sex and food, he will go for sex first. Most of the time. Most of the time. Maybe not all the time, but more than 90% of the time. So if you're a good cook in the house and you forget the other side, which is the sexual part, you likely will have issues with your husband.
I see. You know, violence has become part and parcel of our 21st century dating, in the sense that those who are cohabiting, there was a report in the news which stated that a boyfriend actually murdered the girlfriend over suspicion on phone calls and all that. I mean, what do you have to say about that?
The girlfriend is to blame, not the man, not the boy who killed her, because she had seen the signs. There are always red flags before the billboards. Say that again. There are always red flags before the billboard. Now, a red flag is a piece of cloth you used to wave people down, either because people are crossing or because you are warning danger. That's a red flag. Anytime you see a red flag, what comes to mind is to halt or slow down. What's a billboard? Now, a red flag is a piece of advertisement to say stop. A billboard is saying, here I am, like I am here. Static, rigid, concrete, strong, bold, broad. Now, to destroy a red flag, you can burn it, you can tear it. But to destroy a billboard, you have to find an excavator to pull it out of the ground, and that's not going to take 5 minutes. But you can tear a red flag in 5 minutes. It means that what you do not deal with as a red flag, you have to deal with as a billboard. So prepare to choose what you want to deal with. Red flag in courtship or billboard in marriage. Because the time you use in excavating the billboard in the marriage might take the rest of your life. That's what leads people to divorces eventually. So we forget that the red flags would grow into billboards in the marriage. So we keep ignoring these little things. Oh, and yes, is nothing. But I still love him. Love him. He slaps you one. Okay, he asks for forgiveness. Really? And then it's going to happen again. The next one, you slap the next chick. The next one is a knock. The next one is a stick. The next one, you're dead. Never take red flags for granted. A man who enjoys raising his voice over yours is very likely going to be a physical person. Very, very likely going to be a violent person. If you always, well, most of the time, if you keep talking to somebody and he raises his voice over you and insists his voice should dominate yours, it's very likely going to go physical with you. That person lacks the ability to withhold himself. You get what I'm saying? So when I'm talking to you and I see that you're also raising your voice, to show that I'm the head of the house doesn't mean that I should raise my voice. To show that I'm the head of the house means that I should actually hold on for you to mess up. When you finish, I'll be like, so are you done?
That's maturity.
Now that you are done, have you considered this and this and this and this? So if you had done this, do you think this would have happened? I'm helping you rethink all the things, all the crap you spoke about, but I won't call it crap at that moment. I'll just be quiet. So maturity tells you that you don't raise your voice over your spouse repeatedly, because you're telling that spouse or you're telling yourself you're not mature enough to handle that conversation. I stated on social media, by the way, if you want to follow me on social media, go right now on Kelly Daniels Office on Instagram. Just go right now. Go to Instagram, follow Kelly Daniels Office on Instagram, and send me a DM to say you watched the show. So I said this on social media. I said, never ever argue with your wife. You will not win. I repeat, you will not win. Any man who wins an argument with his wife perpetually is a man who is actually a growing boy. Because women are born to speak more expressive than men. So any man marrying a woman should understand that this person you're bringing into your house has the capacity to blow the whistle at any given chance. And so you have to understand the mechanics of womanity, if there's a word like that, even before you choose one. So you choose the one whose expression you can handle. You don't just choose every woman because you know that every woman is expressive. You choose the woman whose expression is good enough for your level of temperament. That's what works for you.
I'm really learning a lot. Thank you very, very much. I would like you to look into the camera and put out there your last words, your advice to the youth. Yes.
There's no rush. You rush in, you rush out. Understand yourself. Take your time to know who you are, how you are, where you're coming from, why you do what you do, where you're going. If you don't understand where you're going, where are you taking someone's daughter to? If you don't understand where you are going as a woman, where are you following someone's son to? Understand yourself. Man, know yourself. It is after knowing yourself, you know who is best for you, because you know yourself enough to know where you're going and who goes there with you. God bless you.
God bless you too, Kelly Daniels. I have a surprise for you from one of my sponsors. From Cashtel's Shopping Center.
Oh my days.
For being on the Juice with Chacha.
Oh, this is amazing. Like a very small. Wow. Thank you so much. kneel down, thank the Lord. Now wait. Wow, this is nice. Oh my days, this is beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Don't forget that this is at Dawa Dawa. If you want any coffee, anything coffee, just come to Dawa Dawa at Impact Hub. Thank you so much for staying with me throughout this session of the Gist with Chacha. Next week we're gonna meet. Bye.
Changing lanes, moving from one to the next. I ain't guilty, came clean, so I keep resisting arrest. Night vision, I see something coming straight from the west. And yeah, Fredo knows that I'll be doing my best. What they want from me now, I paid my debts. They keep crawling out of hell, I try to keep them in check. My eyes stay open at 2 and I start to voice out. Dear God, listen to my prayer, I got a few more words left. So many times trying to make up for all my misses. So many times I try to find myself some answers. I said I won't be wearing a Rolex with no diamonds. Yeah, that's how I keep up the glitter. Like a walking disaster.